Hello, hello, and welcome to the June 2021 Energetic Forecast. Thank you for joining me live and, of course, on the replay. Wherever you may be catching this broadcast, let me know you're here so that I can send you some love and answer any questions that you might have about this forecast. So for those of you who don't know me or who are just getting to know me, my name is Cindy. I am a quantum numerologist and wealth activator, and I am passionate about moving the money into the hands of the people who give a fuck. I'm passionate about the redistribution of wealth on the planet, and I believe that that comes from the healers, the coaches, the change makers, the people who want impact in the world. And we have this concept that to be of service means we need to give and give and give and not receive. So I'm here to shift that perspective. And I do use the tools of numerology, universal laws, and quantum expansion to help us lean into what's possible for us. So just like we can predict the weather, so too can we predict the energetic influences we'll be experiencing so that we can leverage that to our advantage. So diving into the June 2021 forecast, you're here because you give a fuck, Christine. Yes, absolutely. All right, so June has a lot of energy to it. There are a lot of pieces. There's some very important dates to pay attention to. I've got some notes so I don't lose track of where we're going here. There's a lot to pay attention to, but it's going to be a beautiful month. Overall, the theme of the month, are you willing and will you let yourself live an extraordinary life? It's really that simple. Are you willing to allow that to occur? There's a couple of other pieces here. We're going to have more of a desire to be in community rather than being alone. So May was the energy of the one, planting new seeds, bringing the intention into place. And June is more about bringing in that relationship, community, connection. So you may find yourself with a deep desire to connect with your people and call in the resources that you need. And what perfect time now? Well, in BC where I live, some of the restrictions around COVID are lifting. I know in certain areas of the world they are not, but find ways to connect, whether you're connecting online or in person. There's that deep desire for community. So let's start building community. But the other piece that's important to remember here is that deep connection with your higher self. We are likely going to be called by or pulled by our higher self. So a deep communication with a higher self is important too. Now, what can occur in that 2 energy month is we're being influenced by the mirrors that we experience in our life. So all of the people, all of the experiences in our life are a direct reflection of what's happening up here. So if you're triggered by a person in your life or you're triggered by a certain experience in your life, that's an invitation to be stepped up, but to be initiated by your higher self. It's not an invitation to run away, to avoid, to shove things under the carpet. It's an invitation to dive straight in because the pathway through to what you want lives in that trigger. So it's an invitation to practice forgiveness, look at what's going on, really reflect and ask the higher self, what is happening here? So this 2 energy month is really, we've crossed the bridge into the new world. You've heard me talk about this several times. We've crossed that bridge. So it's time to celebrate in community and to celebrate with our higher self. So that's kind of the overall theme of June. Now let's dive into some of the important dates to pay attention to. So on May 31st, on Monday, Mercury goes into retrograde. Now Mercury gets a bad rap, so we're not going to blame everything on Mercury. It ain't Mercury's fault. But what happens during Mercury retrograde is we often have a breakdown in communication. So that means technology doesn't work as well as it could. You may find that people driving forget to use their signal light. They forget to communicate. You may find that communication, when you're having conversation, there's more misunderstandings. And you may find that people are more irritable. And that's okay. There is nothing wrong. Mercury retrograde is an opportune moment to take the proverbial rock out of the shoe, to let go of the thing you've been tolerating or you've settled for, and really step into what it is that is you need to pull that rock out of the shoe. It's an opportune time to slow down, to take a breath, to reflect on what it is that maybe you've settled for that isn't part of that extraordinary life you're living. So what is it that you've been tolerating? And notice that over the next 3 weeks of how you can release that and let that go. Now, this Mercury retrograde is also more than likely going to step us into a deep desire to learn more information, to soak up knowledge and wisdom. We begin Mercury retrograde on a 5 energy day and we end it on a 5 energy day. And the 5 is about freedom, but it's also about wisdom and understanding. And it's also in an air sign, which means the mind is going to be working on overtime. So be mindful of your mind and check in with that. Are you thinking thoughts that serve you? Are you thinking thoughts about your extraordinary life? Are you thinking thoughts that support your freedom and your expansion and your evolution? Or are you thinking thoughts that hold you back? Just notice that and allow yourself to create freedom in the mind. Allow the mind to shift, look at things from a different perspective, and open yourself to possibility. There is always something possible in every single circumstance you find yourself in. So if you don't love it, look to possibility. If you do love it, amplify possibility. Always go to the possibility. So Mercury retrograde goes for 3 weeks, goes until May 21st. So that is that 3-week period of really just slowing down. Yeah, Jennifer, your internet's not cooperating already. I remember at the beginning of May, I was having troubles and I was like, wow, we're feeling it already. It's very intense. So yeah, it's not a big deal. Just make sure you're stepping away. Don't create a mountain. If your internet's not working great, if your computer's running slow, that's an opportune moment to take a break, to go outside, spend some time in nature, cultivate freedom, look for what's possible, and don't get caught up in the, oh man, my computer's not working and this sucks and I don't like this. Just walk away, take a break. It's a perfect opportunity. All right, next important date to pay attention to is the new moon on June 10th. This is in a 3 energy day. It is in a Gemini sign, and it is also a solar eclipse. So lots of energy there. This is really about new information, about really tapping into that creative flow. You may not be inspired to take action, but you will be inspired to plant new seeds and to amplify that extraordinary life. This is about creating space, about opening up, visualizing, dreaming, planning. Give yourself a few days on either side of that new moon to dive into your vision, to amplify your vision. And by amplifying your vision, I mean opening up the heart and feeling into the heart of what would it feel like to already be experiencing this thing that I'm building, this dream that I dream, this extraordinary life that I'm creating. What does it feel like? And then notice that feeling amplifying in the body, amplifying outside of the body. Celebrate it, shout it from the rooftops. Really allow yourself to step in to what your extraordinary life looks and feels like. This is also a time for transformation. So notice as maybe potentially triggers are rising up, the 3 energy has a tendency to create judgment, comparison, blame, shame, guilt. All of these emotions can rise up on a 3 energy day. If you're feeling that, don't run away from it. Dive head first in, because your triggers are the direct pathway to what you want. And if you want that extraordinary life, we're going to have to clear the triggers. And in that requires some forgiveness, some compassion. If you don't know how to do that, please reach out. We can work through Mastering the Brain Game, other programs and offers that Joy Kingsborough and I have to help you shift that for yourself. There's also an opportunity to put to bed the idea of your value being defined by your actions. Your value is defined by you simply breathing. Your value is not defined by how you do things in the world, but how you be. You are a human being, not a human doing. So give yourself permission to be and tap into that inner worth. What are you contributing to society simply by being alive? Because that's where your extraordinary life will come from. You contribute value through breathing. That simple. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anything. You can just simply be alive. And that is contribution. So check in with that. Tap into that on that new moon energy. You may also notice, because it's an air energy and because it's in Mercury retrograde, there may be migraines and headaches. drink lots of water, flush those toxins out of the body, just allow that to flow through you. All right. Next important thing to pay attention to, that solar eclipse on that new moon is likely to usher in some pretty major technological advances. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight, but what will happen is we'll start opening the window to those possibilities over the next few years. So things might happen quickly. We may see some rapid changes in technology. Don't get overwhelmed. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to be on all the social media platforms. You don't need to learn how to TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the things. Just do what's right for you. Tap into that extraordinary life. Trust your own heart. Know that you're in the right place at the right time. Things are going to move very quickly. There is an amplification of technological advances. So just be mindful of the overwhelm. One thing at a time. Just keep moving forward towards that extraordinary life. Create that extraordinary life day by day by day. All right. Then we've got summer solstice on June 20th. So inviting in and welcoming in the next season. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, of course, you're inviting in the winter solstice. So just celebrate that. Spend time and honor the change of season. Then we've got a full moon in Capricorn on June 24th on an 8 energy day. So all of our full moons for the last 3 months have been on 9 energy days and have been supermoons. There's been an amplification of release. This full moon is about commitment. We've released, we're done releasing. Now it's time to commit to your extraordinary life. This is about dedication, devotion, long-term vision, thinking legacy. Legacy is the word of this full moon. What are you dedicated and devoted to? Are you focused, laser focused on what you want in your extraordinary life? Or are you laser focused on all the shit that's wrong in the world and what you don't love? Notice that. There's no judgment whatsoever, but it's important to be aware of where your thoughts are focused. Because if you're focused on what you want, you're dedicated and devoted to every single day, waking up, committed to your extraordinary life, committed to choosing your emotions, choosing your thoughts, focused forward and moving into that extraordinary life, you will see that extraordinary life unfold before your very eyes. But if you are dedicated and devoted to staying focused on what's happening in the news, what's happening in the world, COVID, racism, all of those things, guess what? You're going to see more of that in your life. Which one do you want? Which one is included in your extraordinary life? That's what you get to decide. So there may be some clearing occurring on that full moon. It's not likely to feel as heavy as the past 3 moons have, but just notice, what are you thinking about? Tap into your legacy. What are you creating? What empire are you creating? And your empire could be it could be your family that you're developing. It doesn't have to be this big global empire, but what is your empire? And remember that empires are not built overnight. So take a deep breath, just slow down. This is long-term vision, step by step by step, just taking one thing at a time, dedication, devotion, and commitment. Huge deal for that full moon. So key dates to note. Number 1, May 31st, we go into Mercury retrograde. That goes for 3 weeks until June 21st. We've also got June 10th, new moon, amplification, vision. Then we've got June 20th, summer solstice or winter solstice. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, celebrate and honor the change of the season. And then June 24th, full moon. What are you committed to? What are you dedicated to long-term? Think legacy. So those are the important key dates. And remember, June is all about tapping into your connection with your higher self, connection with the people that you love and adore, connection with your people that you work with, your colleagues, connection in all of your relationships. So think your relationship with money, your relationship with food, your relationship with your body. All of these relationships and connections are coming top of mind. So start building your community. And remember, allow yourself to choose your extraordinary life. Have Have an amazing, amazing June. Of course, I will be coming live every Friday with the Rebel Report so we can tap in week by week. I'll also be doing a new moon and full moon forecast when the time comes for that. So stay tuned, watch the profile, make sure you click that get reminder button so that you get notified, and I will see you very, very soon. I love you, I believe in you, and I see your power. Bye for now.